what we call public opinion was just a manufactured narrative that makes it easier to convince people that if their views are different, then there's something wrong with that or there's something wrong with them.
Spending is a tax. As soon as the government spends money, eventually it's a tax. Sometimes we put a direct tax on the people, sometimes we borrow the money, and sometimes we print the money.
Freedom and the dignity of the individual have been more available and assured here than in any other place on earth.
The Patrick Riggins Show. And now your host, Patrick Riggins.
Good Saturday afternoon. There we go. Once again, you have made it to the 1 hour of logic and sanity in an increasingly insane and illogical world. This is where we ask the question, are you ready to be enlightened? Are you ready to have your eyes opened? And probably most importantly, are you ready to take on the responsibility of living in a truly free society? We are here on the radio station helping to make a difference, helping us with our goal to inform and enlighten. That station would be News Talk 98.7 WOKI here in warm, scenic, and sunny Knoxville, Tennessee. The network on which the Patrick Riggins Show resides is none other than the Light for Libertarianism here in the United States, the Libertarian Lighthouse Radio Network, steadily expanding its reach across the country and soon across the globe, working to guide the lost ships at sea into the safe harbor of freedom and liberty for everyone, not just Americans, but all human beings, because we believe all humans are created with unalienable rights. So we profess that anyway. And almost equally important question, though, is, are you ready to help convert your friends, your neighbors, your coworkers over to this way of thinking? If you aren't, then we aren't going to win this battle for our country. Too many people are lured into the siren song of governmental security, government aid, letting the government provide everything you need for you, all at the expense of your fellow taxpayers, of course. You know, I have a question for all you people taking that government money. I don't think this applies to a whole lot of people listening to this show, but just in case, I want to give you something to think about. And you regular listeners, you can think about this as well. All you people living off government, and this is specifically directed at everyone who has grown up living off welfare, and now that you've moved out of your family home, you're on it yourself, or even if you didn't grow up on it but are on it now. The question I'd like to ask you is, or questions, I guess, what are you bringing to the table? What are you bringing to the American table? Why should the taxpayers of this country provide you with money? Are you so vain as to suggest that we should be so happy you are here living in this country? You are so wonderful as to grace our country with your presence. We should pay you for the privilege. You living within our borders is so important to us that we should pay all of your expenses, or a large part of them, just for doing so? I'll ask the question again so you can think long and hard about it. What are you doing for this country? Are you helping pick up the trash? Are you mowing the lawn in the city parks? Are you doing anything that justifies the check you are receiving every month? I mean, other than being alive and breathing. How are you earning the money that we are paying you? What are you doing in this country that is so special that you feel you deserve the monthly check you receive from the government? The truth of the matter is, you don't deserve the money you're receiving. You aren't doing anything for it. You aren't helping the community. You're not doing anything other than being alive, and that isn't a good enough reason. Not in my book. Not a good enough reason to provide you with a living. In all reality, there really isn't a good enough reason for the government to take money from one citizen and give it to another in the form of charity. There's no reason at all. I don't care what you've done for this country. I've covered this fact on the show before. Check the show archives, youtube.com/Patrick Riggins Show. None of your desires your wants, even your needs are great enough to overrule my individual rights. And one of those key rights is to keep the fruits of my labor, to not have them confiscated at the point of a gun and given to another for the purposes of charity. Now, this isn't a popular concept in America today, that a citizen doesn't have a claim to another citizen's money, that somehow you aren't owed a living by virtue of the fact that you live in this country, but you aren't. I gave this example back when I had my previous radio show, but I'll give it again for the benefit of those who haven't heard it. And with the success of this radio show and the subsequent growth of the listening audience, a lot of people aren't familiar with it. So anyway, here it is. Let's say I'm standing in line at the grocery store and the lady in front of me doesn't have enough money to pay for her groceries. Now, she's exactly $10 short. Standing behind her and seeing this dilemma, I decide, hey, I'm going to do something about it. So I leave my basket, I go out in the parking lot, and I ask 10 people if they will give me just $1 each to help this lady out. Amazingly, each person gives me that $1. Now I can go back into the store, give it to the lady so she can pay her bill. And that's an example of private charity. Let's see how this works from a government perspective. Same situation, but this time I'm the government. Same situation, she's short $10. I leave my basket, I go out the door, first person I see, I pull out a gun and demand they give me $10 to help pay for this lady's groceries. This person says, hey, I've only got $3 in my pocket. I said, hey, that's fine. I'll take your wristwatch and I'll make up the difference. Now, this person, of course, says, hey, this watch is worth over $200. And I tell them, hey, no matter, I'll give them the difference of whatever I can get for it. After all, I've got the gun. How much are they going to argue? Besides, if they protest too much, I'll just throw them in jail. So now I stand in front of the store offering to sell this guy's watch for whatever I can get, as long as it's at least $7. The difference between the $10 I need and the $3 this unlucky person had on them. After a few minutes, I get an offer. Someone comes up and says, hey, I'll give you $10 for that watch. So I sell it to him, the $200 watch. And I give the $3 difference. Since I got $10 for it, I give the $3 difference to the person I took the watch from for their $200 watch. Because now all I needed was the $3. So I go back inside and help the lady pay her grocery bill. Oh, wait a minute. I got that wrong. I get $7 for it. So it's $4 more than I thought. So he really lucked out there on a $200 watch. So I take that inside, pay her grocery bill with the money I put together. That's what happens in America today. In the first instance, I asked people for money, and they willingly gave it to me so we could help this lady. You know, she was short the money. I went out, got some people together. We got the money together, gave it to her, got her taken care of. In the second example, I operated like the government to do the exact same goal, get this lady's grocery bill paid. The only difference is, and this is simplistic, of course, but the only difference being, if I operated as a private citizen in the second example, if I walked out and demanded money from someone at the point of a gun, I would be arrested for armed robbery. But since I'm the government, hey, I'm exempted from those types of things. So do you get a little bit better understanding of how the government taking money from one citizen at the point of a gun and giving it to another in the form of charity is wrong? Can you see how this is a violent crime in the disguise of charity and good works? Oh, Patrick, you say you're being crazy. You're blowing that all out of proportion. Am I? Isn't it really the same thing? Not paying your taxes so the money can be given directly to another citizen who doesn't want to work or can't find work or whatever. If you don't pay your taxes for that, you can go to jail, prison, for not handing money over to give to another person. Now, how is that right? How can you make the argument that in a supposedly free country, a country founded on the principles of freedom and liberty, for goodness sakes, those two words are present all through our founding documents. They're what makes this country great, not morality, not government, freedom and liberty for the individual. yet we don't practice it. And when it's violated by our government, we just sit back and watch. All right, we're up on the first break here on the Patrick Riggin Show. When we come back, this show is just packed full again. We only have an hour on the weekends. That's why we have to pack so much in here. But when we come back, we'll hit the nullification I didn't get to last week. We'll finish up with that real quick. Talk about immigration. And, hey, guess what? Siri is back in the news. Who would have thought it? When we come back here on the Patrick Riggin Show.